Hello, hatchlings. So you're probably wondering why the voice does not match what the video is doing. That is because for some reason, even though I watched this whole video back and the audio was working, when I uploaded, something must have happened, and now the audio is just completely wiped from the video. How did that happen? I don't know. I really don't know. I'm wondering if something happened when I watched it back, potentially, and it's just kind of corrupted itself. I don't know, but I'm gonna do a voiceover and hopefully this helps. I'm not going to maybe voice over both videos potentially, just because that is a lot to voice over and I can't remember everything that I talked about either. This particular video, just before I start, I will put a trigger warning, um, just in case, because the stuff that I will go in and talk about on here, um, could potentially be triggering and kind of, um, just something that I want to warn you about, because basically what this is going to be is like a therapy session almost. I'm trying different methods of just talking and see how that goes online, just kind of talking about stuff. I believe when I first started talking in this video, I more just started talking about like updates in regards to changes on like testosterone and everything. Um, and I guess more so in emotional changes and physical changes. Emotional changes, um, not like too many. Um, for the stereotype that often gets thrown around that you get more angry and ill-tempered when you're on testosterone, for me, that hasn't happened. Um, like I'll get more, I guess, frustrated at a situation, but it will literally last like a minute. The amount of times I get frustrated and angry has actually calmed down than what used to happen beforehand. So basically, before hormones, I literally would act so irrationally at situations, and now that I'm on hormones, I kind of get upset, upset for a bit, and then I'm like, well, you know what? I'm upset, but it's not going to solve any problems. What can I do to fix the situation? And then my brain will go through different methods on how I could potentially uh, fix the situation. If I'm unsure, then I will ask someone and actually try and get some help now, which is interesting because I was always so afraid to ask for help before. So it's interesting that I'm actually going off and being active, like more active about dealing with situations than what I was before. So that is kind of a more interesting change that has happened, is that I'm more rational, I'm more calm, and I think of solutions to kind of get through problems that potentially happen. So that was interesting and kind of throws away the whole stereotype. I think, and a few other YouTubers have said this as well, like a few other trans YouTubers that I've watched have said this as well, who haven't had the problem of, getting angry and stuff, maybe just like more frustration, but nothing horrible. Some notice like emotional changes and are like, oh yeah, I'm super angry and blah blah blah. However, like with other trans YouTubers that I watched who talked about this, have said if you were just like a genuinely angry person and you're kind of holding in a lot of that anger and emotion and everything, I think because you get a bit more comfortable in yourself and no longer want to hide anything in yourself, that kind of starts to come out of you. I like, and that I can agree with. If you're more comfortable, a lot more things are going to start to show. and everything that you're just kind of bottling up in yourself. So I feel like if you were just a genuinely angry person, you could potentially get more angrier. But in my situation, taking testosterone actually did the opposite and helped me a lot more. And I think that's because I'm just stepping away from the situation now and kind of looking at things from a different perspective. And because I'm a bit more calmer and a bit more relaxed and a bit more comfortable in myself, I'm able to do that a lot more better. So I handle situations a bit more better. Um, I still get like anxiety and panic attacks. Some of them, when they get really bad, I call episodes, but usually I can pick when that's going to happen, and you can't really fix that. Like for me, I can't really fix that. I just kind of have to ride the wave until it kind of disperses. But I have noticed that in terms of how I handle and cope with the situation is a bit better. Still trying to find other ways to cope and handle the situation just so I have like a bigger and better spectrum to work with all of that. But it's been pretty good. And for those of you who are wondering, yes, I can still cry. I still cry the same amount as what I did before testosterone. Testosterone hasn't made it any more difficult for me to cry. I can still watch those puppy videos and those animals getting like reunited with their family, and I'll cry and whatever. I won't cry at situations where there's no need to anymore. I'm actually able to control that a bit better, where if me crying is kind of uncalled for, it's a bit easier to like it not cry essentially, because I'm like, well, there's no point in being super emotional. And I think that just kind of goes back to what I was saying before is I'm a bit more comfortable and a bit more calmer, so it kind of makes that a bit more easier, and therefore I don't cry. um any other emotional changes? I'm a lot more happier. I have a lot more energy in order to do things during the day, yet I still completely crash during the nighttime and sleep so much. Um, I'm a bit more confident. I wouldn't say I am 100% there yet because I still can't quite stand up for myself, and I'm still not quite there. I'm still very, I don't know what the word would be, but I've never been a confident person, but it's nice to have that little bit of confidence that I have gained through doing all of this. Um, I I think there's still room for improvement, but I think after like a year and a half, I think things will start to become a lot more easier. Testosterone isn't going to solve the problem, but it will definitely make the process a million times more easier for me to work on. Because for me, I was working on something that was just constantly being pushed back into its original position, and possibly sometimes even further. So now I have something that isn't fighting back anymore, essentially. So I'm now fixing something that isn't fighting back, and it makes things so much easier. When you try and fix something that's not fighting back, let me tell you, the relief that you get from that is just, it's nice. It's nice to not have to constantly struggle. I did talk about a few other more serious things that were going on in my life as well. Um, I'm not sure if I should more just talk about the update and all of this, or if I should just talk about that again. Because I talked about it, but at the same time, I do wonder if it's like one of those things that you should share so openly. So I'll think about that one because I do have updates to that situation. Um, but we will see. Like I said, testosterone isn't going to fix all of like the external things happening. It's going to basically help. For me, it helps with my general happiness, my confidence, how I handle situations, has stabilized my emotions a lot more, um, and is because it is making all of these physical changes, and I'm going through puberty again as a 12-year-old pubescent boy, essentially. I know I'm going to be read as a very young person. That's just a thing that's going to happen. Um, and it's a thing that a lot of female to male transgender people or transgender males, however, um, however it goes, if you are like going through the transition process and you're fairly new to like hormones and everything, you will get read as a very young boy. Um, it may or may not be an issue for some people. For me, I've always been read as quite a young person. It's like you go and buy some alcohol or whatever, and I would have to constantly show my ID. I don't go off and buy it all the time. If I'm buying it, I'm buying it for like gifts for people. Um, so that's one of the things I've always had to like show my ID, so it's not really a problem as such. I've never had people just kind of rethink their choice that my ID is fake or something, because you can't really fake my driver's license. I mean, you can try. Um, I don't know. I will talk about this one situation because I don't know what to call it, or if the person just didn't know, or if they thought they were being nice, or if they were genuinely just being rude, but I'll talk about the situation. I work in hospitality, and often or not, you're going to come across a lot of people who just genuinely don't respect you. They find you as lower class, they find you beneath them, and it doesn't matter where a person works. As soon as they go into that restaurant, immediately you are like below them pretty much. And that's how a lot of people will treat you unless they've worked in that situation before. The only times I've ever had anyone be nice to me are the people who are like, yeah, I've worked in this situation before and I know exactly what it's like, and I feel absolutely horribly for you. So that's the times where people have been nice to me, is when they've done it before. So if you work in hospitality, you know there are a lot of characters that you're going to meet in hospitality, in terms of customers, in terms of people that you work with, in terms of managers. There are just going to be characters that you work with, and it's going to be an interesting experience. So for me, on this particular day, I think it was a couple days, or the day that I filmed this video of me talking, um, was that my manager wanted me to seat some people. I went over and walking over, helping the person get seated, and the manager had said, "All right, I'll let this young man Marshall take care of you." And he said, "This young man Marshall, to take care of you." But then the customer just like turned around, looked at me, and was just like, "Oh, I thank you, young lady," and accentuated the lady. And I just kind of was like, I don't know if you're purposely trying to be rude, if you just didn't hear my manager, if you didn't understand, or if you completely understood and you're just being that person, you know? You're going to come across that person during your transition who is just going to completely disregard you. And I don't know if he was doing that, but because he accentuated the lady, it just made me feel really off. Like, I normally don't get upset about, like, he, she, they, them. I'm not a fan of, like, female or, like, feminine terms, as in, like, beautiful princess, blah, 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 that you would more see used for somebody who is feminine. I'm not a fan, but I'm not going to completely get upset over it. But for some reason, um, him just saying lady and accentuating the lady really put me off and really made me feel absolutely horrible about myself. And I was like, do I not, do I not look how I think I do? And then I started thinking all of these horrible thoughts, and I'm just like, well, what if I'm completely reversing in my transition and all of the fat from my face that I thought redistributed hasn't? What if my voice hasn't deepened? What if all of my hips and everything are bigger than ever? Blah, blah, blah. So I was thinking all of these really bad thoughts, and I felt really down about my whole entire transition for like for that time. And I even went to my fiance and I was like, is am I like completely reversing because I feel horrible about myself, and I don't know if I'm just being paranoid because of what this person had said. And he said no, and thought I had gotten even bigger around the shoulders and that I bulked up more, and had said and reminded me about how my lats are filling out and that my sides are starting to fill out more and become more of like a masculine body shape, instead of having like the sides go inwards. It's starting to kind of fill out as a more like straight, just more straight. um, so he told me that, and then um, one of my work colleagues had gone, "Have you gotten taller again from like the 2 centimeters that I had originally grown?" And that particular day, um, I was looking at height wise against my mum, and I was like, I swear I have gotten a lot taller than the 2 centimeters that I've grown, which is interesting. If I have gotten taller, I will update you all if I have gotten taller, because then it means that testosterone could potentially cause growth, but potentially only cause growth in some people because results are always inconclusive. And usually, when the people get taller, it's during times where they would be going through puberty. However, I am 24 years old. Um, and yes, men stop growing at age like 26 in my family. um, they're pretty tall. And I'm like the shortest in the family, and that's saying a lot because I'm like 5'8". So, yeah, usually family is like around like 6 foot, 6'2", around that height. So for me to notice that I'm getting a bit taller is interesting, and when I go up there for Christmas, it's going to be interesting to see if I have gotten taller. So that made me feel little bit better. And then when I went and did the voice comparison, and then I went and did a body comparison, I could see there was still a lot of changes, from the third month to the fourth month. I've definitely gotten a lot bigger around the shoulders. I've definitely filled out a lot more at the sides. I'm definitely a lot more boxier than what I once was. And by boxier, I mean I literally look like a cube, like a box cube, is potentially what's happening to my body. Which I like it. I'm happy with that, and that is fine. Um, and that's kind of pushed away the notion that nothing is happening. And then because I was read as male yesterday, because I was like, I'm just deepening my voice for customers. I'm not doing my awkward, shy, hi, how are you? Blah blah blah. Doing my high voice. I'm just like, I'm just gonna talk normally to everyone like this and see what happens. And people started reading me as male, and I thought if I started talking in my normal voice, people thought I was gonna like I thought I was gonna sound rude to people, and that I wouldn't sound like the hi, how are you going, blah blah blah, nice friendly person, or the hi, how are you going, nice friendly person. But people were still saying that I was very kind and nice and genuine person, even with my voice, like talking in my normal voice. So that to me was interesting, and I think that has also helped a bit in my confidence, because the reason I talk so high pitched is because when I get shy, that's just what happens. I get very high pitched, and you'll notice in like my like video game let's plays and stuff, if I get nervous and shy, I will talk in a very high range and like very high pitched. Um, so I think that's helped kind of push out the notions of like anxiety that my head has made of you will sound like a horrible person if you talk normally to people. So I think I can now just start talking normally. I might be a bit more quieter because I don't sound as high pitched, but I can still make myself sound louder even in just my normal voice. I have noticed when I'm singing and stuff, it's a bit more difficult. It's not more difficult. My voice isn't as strong um, in the head voice, like the high range head voice, as what it once was. So that's another indication that my voice has dropped, um, which is interesting. It's a bit more area. I wouldn't say it's raspier, like it sounds a little bit raspier in area, and I can still reach the high notes, but they're not as strong. So if I wanted to have a strong high note, I would have to sing in my chest voice or do a mix of the chest and the head voice to get that sound back potentially. So that was kind of interesting to me, as now I will definitely have to start changing my singing dynamic and just kind of how I sing songs. Um, and I may soon have to test out my range, because there's a good chance my range could drop an octave and I could still sing those high notes, but it would be more comfortable to sing an octave down for me. So I want to see where my voice kind of slows down and kind of stops jumping all over the place, and then kind of test out what my new range, my new vocal range is. So that's been an interesting thing that I've realized I have to go and um, re like relearn where my range is and where I'm most comfortable singing, and then go from there um, when singing. I still can hit the high notes. I'm not sure what's going to happen when I finish, like when my voice finishes changing, if I will still be able to hit the high notes. I'm sure I'll still be able to. There are a lot of guys who can hit high notes, and you can practice to hit the high notes, honestly. I might struggle a bit more, but I can just practice. It's not the end of the world. Um, Originally, I was worried I might not be able to sing, but I think people's concerns are when they're trying to sing, when especially your voice is like cracking and it's going through a lot of changes and everything is pushing and moving and everything is just, it's going everywhere. So your singing is going to go everywhere too because everything is changing. And then, so people are like, oh my gosh, I can't sing anymore, blah, blah, blah. It's not the fact you can't sing anymore. I think just everything has changed. Your range may have changed. You may just have to practice singing in like the new range that it goes to. For for singers, men's voice goes through a change once or twice during their lifetime. Um, and like masculine voices will go through a change of like twice in their lifetime, like, and females or feminine voices will go through changes about like 5 or 8 times during their lifetime. That means changing and fixing and learning your new range 5 to 8 times. Yes, like the male masculine voice change is very drastic. However, because it only happens like once or twice, you have so long to like relearn and get comfortable with everything. Whereas, like with the female feminine voice, even though it's not as drastic because it happens so much, there's a lot to like go through the process of learning again, and so it, either way, you're gonna have something happen to you in your life that is going to change your voice, and you're going to have to relearn things anyway. So, why not just learn again? You know what I'm saying? So, and originally, the reason I didn't want to transition was because I thought I wouldn't be able to sing anymore. And my singing voice is one of the things that I hold very dearly to me. Like, music is everything to me, honestly. So that upset me, that it was like I may not get to sing the way that I like anymore. But you know what? I thought about it after a while and I was like, I've done singing for so long. I know all the basics. I learned everything. I can learn again. I can teach myself again. I don't have to be unhappy with myself because I want to sing. I can be happy with myself and learn how to sing and then be happy with myself and be able to sing. So I'm still working on those albums. They might not sound the best, but I'm definitely working on them. And I've definitely got a lot better with my music making and everything. So I'm pretty excited for the new stuff that's coming out. I definitely am excited for the new stuff that's coming out. And I'm excited for the stuff that I'm remaking while I'm making all the stuff in between that. While we are on the topics of making like songs and stuff, something happened really recently um, that has kind of scared me a little bit, and that's the new iPhone update. And I had to update my phone because I couldn't open up iMessages to contact anyone or my phone log. So I updated it because I was like, well, I'm gonna have to update it, aren't I, in order to access the things that are crashing. But do you know what it's done? It has made it so GarageBand crashes and I cannot get into the music that I made. So I'm having to use my iPad to remake all the stuff that I had set up and prepared and that I was making for all of my transition videos, and do it that way. And even though I clicked to save all of my songs, guess what my songs didn't do? They didn't back up, so therefore I cannot access my songs and GarageBand keeps failing. And I'm hoping that Apple fixes it soon because there are so many things that are crashing and breaking on me, and it's me a bit sad. Because there is one particular song that I am working on for one of the albums, and that's on there. And I'm just hoping I can be able to redo the correct synths and everything for that song on my iPad. This is gonna be a sad day. Sad, sad day. Oh no. I want my garage band back. Can I have my garage band back on my phone, please, Apple? Don't do this to me, Apple. Um, I don't have anything else I really want to talk about. These are just kind of venting videos, whatever you want to call it. Definitely not using all of the video on here, and everything that I talked about is a little bit different. Um, I am sorry that all of it didn't work and that my applications just for some reason hate me. So I'm hoping that all of this works and uploads. Please. Please, please. Hopefully you enjoyed it. There will be more just kind of updates every now and then. Um, and just like a general life update. And yeah, if you enjoyed it, roll over to like button, snap the subscribe to become a hatchling, and I will see you all in a wingspan. Bye bye.